Welcome back, everybody, to the final edition of what we've called Leaning into Lent during this season. And as a community, we at Browncroft have really experienced a lot of richness as together we have said we want to take spiritual practices seriously during this time of the year. And I am very excited to have beside me a close friend, a coworker, somebody who I respect a lot, talking about a subject, really the final one in our series together.
Yeah.
Service.
Service.
Service is a big deal. Amanda D'Angelo, everybody. D'Angelo, as I call her.
Yes.
Yes. So, Amanda, tell us a little bit about what service has meant to you in your life.
Well, I have to share it in story form.
Which is great.
Yep.
I like that.
Yep. So became a strong Christian, devoted Christian at 17, even though I was saved at 13. And I had just started to learn piano.
Yeah.
And my church had a need. And they approached me and said, will you serve on the worship team? And I was like, y'all, I just started learning.
Right.
And they said, well, we would love to have you and would love to have you grow in your gift. And so in that, I saw the church having a need that I could provide,
Yeah.
and the church allowing me to grow as I developed that skill and that passion.
Right. As a teenager.
I was in college, like a freshman in college.
Wow.
And it was just such a beautiful thing. And again, like I said, I was kind of new to my faith and growing deeper in my relationship with the Lord. And as time progressed, I even got involved in the student ministry because I felt that I was so excited about what I was learning in my relationship with God, and I wanted to teach other people what I was learning.
Yeah.
And even though I was only 3 or 5 steps ahead of the girls that I was discipling, I knew that I could say, come alongside of me, do what I do, and learn from me as I also learn and go ahead.
Yeah.
So fast forward even to when I was older and I moved out of my parents' house, got my own apartment in a totally different city, I went to a different church. And I started serving on their worship team. And I was just faithfully serving, every single week serving on keys. And they came to me one day and said, we see leadership ability in you. Would you co-lead a team? And I'm like, well, what does that mean?
Right.
And they said, we want you to disciple and love and care for the people on this team.
Wow.
And that was huge for me.
And you're how old at this point?
I'm 26 or 7 at this time.
Yeah, which is a pretty big deal
It
for a
is.
church to come to you and tell you that.
Right, exactly, because they were fully staffed. Like they had plenty of people. A staff member was the leader of my team.
Gotcha.
And he was saying to me, I want you to help me co-lead this team.
Wow.
And I was struggling with, insecurities at that time. I really didn't always have the best confidence throughout my life. And that changed everything. And not in a way that made me prideful, but in a way that said, wow, God has truly equipped me in ways that I don't even see myself. So the church reflecting that back to me and saying, I see this in you and we want to use you this way and it will bless the people that are serving alongside of you. Huge.
Right.
So much so that I'll speed up the story to say, I now started working at that church later on. And work here now, having moved to Rochester, and use all of those gifts. And I see God using the fruit of me just faithfully serving in the church to make me not only who I am today, but to equip other people to use their gifts and passions in the church.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Wow. And I'm so thankful that you're using those gifts here.
Oh,
it's so great.
I love it.
And as I hear you tell that story, 2 things pop out. First of all, your faithfulness and willingness to continue to serve in the little places.
Right.
But also the fact that other people called you out.
Right.
Other people said, hey, I want to take you, I believe in you enough to ask you to another level of service.
Yes.
So some people here are serving faithfully, and they're in positions where they could invite other people to serve with them, and maybe that's a next step for them during this season, instead not just say, oh yeah, I'm doing this, but to invite others into leadership.
Right, yeah. I challenge people that if you've been serving consistently in the same spot for years, which is a beautiful thing in and of itself, but to really ask God to say, what else can I be doing? What else should I be doing? And hopefully, like as leaders here are trying to equip and empower people to do even more that God's called them to. Because I got to the point with serving on the worship team where I said, I'm just playing keys. And I'm not trying to downplay that.
Right.
But in my heart, I said, I want to do, there's other things that I feel like I want to utilize for the kingdom, and really being open to that to grow.
Right.
Yeah.
So as you think about Browncroft and this week that we're headed into,
Yeah.
like what do you think some ideas for Browncroft? How could we grow in this area
Yeah.
of service?
I love this question because I feel like I get an immediate image of anyone who's not serving in the church to really go home and pray and say, God, how have you equipped me? What am I passionate about? What am I good at? That I could help the church in any area
Right.
that they are also passionate about, and to come alongside of them to share the gospel with people through my gifts and talents. I mean, imagine if everyone at Browncroft was actually serving in the church. Like they had, and it could be very small because you've got a lot of kids at home, or you're in a busy season, whatever the case may be, or you've got a lot of time and say, you know what, I can give this to the church. And if we were all had a place, and not only to fill a need, because that's not it. It's really to say, you playing your part in the body of Christ to really accomplish the mission of people hearing the gospel and being changed by it.
Right. So you're describing kind of a point of surrender in which we
Yeah.
say, God, actually, anything I have is yours. You can use me in whatever way you
Yep.
want. And that's the opposite of a consumer mindset where it's like
Right.
we just show up
Yeah.
and, I'm here and I hope everybody makes me happy.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm here to serve.
Yeah, I'm here to invest.
Yes.
That it's not just a church that I hear a great message from Pastor Rob. We have awesome worship. That's all true. But because I'm blessed by it, I want to bless other people, and I want to play a part and imagine what God can do. Like that, my story is just one of many
Right.
of ways that God can transform your life if you just start faithfully serving in the church.
I love that. What a great inspiration for us. Thanks, Amanda, for
Yeah,
sharing that.
absolutely.
Thank you for joining us on this. I hope that if you aren't serving currently, maybe this will be a week where you start to serve, even if it's in a little way, to take that next step of faith to say, hey, I want to test this out and see if God might use me in a new area. So thank you for joining us during this season. We're anticipating Easter right around the corner and hope you will be joining us then. Until then, see ya.